everyone, it's Jill Gillespie again, and for this practice, I'm taking things down to the floor and we're going to do some deep stretching. And so this is going to feel very much like a yin yoga class. We'll hold stretches for a little longer than usual than we might in a regular flow class. So just a little forewarning, this class is very tailored to me and my own body, and it may not be as accessible as some of the other classes that I have done. I'll try to offer some variations, but I just really needed to stretch, and so this class is going to target stretching our shoulders and getting into our hips and groin and into this fun little place that lives under our butt that we just sit on all the time. And I had started doing some workout classes, and so I just need a nice stretch and reset after that. And so behind me, I've even set up my prop station a little bit different. My mat's oriented a different direction, and so however you set up for class, you'll just leave your mat there. You'll face the short end of it probably the whole time, but I might hop around and move a little bit more to show you how things look on my body if it seems like you might not be able to see it. And I'm using my regular yoga stash because, again, very selfish. This class is very me, but know that you can dig out your books and dig out your own blankets and your own straps. But I've got 2 blankets, I've got 2 blocks, and I've got a strap for today. And again, I'll try to show you the variations as best as I can. But this is a practice that I just, and I figured if I'm going to do it, might as well share it with you, right? So let's just go ahead and find a comfortable seat on our mat, maybe sitting on blankets for some height. We're going to sit here for a little while. We'll just come here for a few breaths just to center and transition from whatever we were doing in the world to here this time on our mat. You might draw in your belly here, right toward your spine to give yourself a little support and structure. You can bring your shoulders nice and broad and maybe lean back so they're right over your hips. And then let the crown of your head draw toward the ceiling. See if you can find as much space as possible in your spine. You can rest down your eyes for a few moments and just breathe. We'll make our way into our first pose of this practice. So if there's any little wiggling you want to do here, go ahead. And then have your blocks nearby as you open your legs, maybe shake it out even just a little bit. And then scoot the flesh out from under your butt. And let your legs go nice and wide as feels comfortable right now. And so if you're immediately starting to feel pain under your knee, you might throw pillows or blanket roll under your knee here to give you a little support if it's already kind of pinchy. And then redraw in that belly and find that long spine again. And then whenever you're ready, inhale to prepare. And then exhale, just hinge right at the hips. And let your torso come forward, keeping your chest open. And just move forward until you feel your first sensation in your back or in your legs. This doesn't have to be the deepest pose you've ever done, because we'll settle into it a little bit. And some folks will go right to the floor. I do not go right to the floor. And so you can leave your hands somewhere on your leg, or maybe have your blocks nearby for support. And just remember that we're not curling in yet. We're keeping this fairly active. Our feet are flexed. And we'll breathe into this space for a few moments. Inhale again. Find some length in your spine, maybe halfway lift, just a little bit. And then exhale and see if you have any more space to move a little more deeply into this stretch here. And now bring your focus into your legs. See if there's any unnecessary gripping in your knees or in your thighs, that you can relax a little bit. Now, if these sensations start getting too intense for you, you can always come back up a little bit. You can always bend your knees a little bit. And you can always bring your legs in a little bit if you need to. Do this one more time. Inhaling, halfway lift, finding some space, maybe readjusting to prepare for another fold, and then exhaling, seeing if you can get your arms away from your body this time, and press into your palms, just wherever your hands land, to help press your hips back into the floor. And now from here, any of the tension that you're holding, any of the flexion that you're holding, just release. Let your legs go soft, and then let your back go soft, and let your neck go soft. Now bring that belly in, squeeze your butt, and lift yourself back up to seated. And now carefully use your hands to help let you bring the bottoms of your feet together and your knees out wide. And now we'll prepare a folding series again now with our legs in this shape to find a little bit different sensation. And so here your blocks can come under your legs. If having them this far open here is too much, you can also move your feet farther away from you to lessen the sensation. And then reconnect, draw that belly in, and then find your fold hinging at the hips, letting your hands come down wherever is comfortable on your legs. And then inhale, connect with that long spine again. And here with your hands on your feet, it might feel nice to give yourself a little foot massage. Just peel the bottoms of your feet apart, open them like a book. this time we'll inhale, find length again. And then when we exhale, we might press our elbows into our thighs. Maybe we want to give ourselves a nice little thigh massage here. Or just sit there. Inhale, lift yourself back up to center. Let your legs come out in front of you. Maybe wiggle them out a little bit here. And then we'll transition to hands and knees. And so you might roll over to the side to do that, or just roll up over your knees. And here, your blankets can stay there if you want some support for your knees. We're doing a lot of kneeling in this class today because that's how I like to stretch. So this might be some welcome comfort here for you. And then when you're ready, start with your knees under your hips and your wrists under your shoulders here. And see how that feels on your body. Just really root all the sides of your palm onto the floor, and then get your finger pads involved too. And just really grip into the floor. Maybe bring your elbows in toward your body a little bit. And find some strong foundation work under your body here as you draw your belly in again and find that long spine. And then on an inhale, lift your head and lift your tailbone and find a cow back here. And then exhale and pull the back of your rib cage up to the ceiling and curl in. And then inhale, come back through. And then exhale, come back closed off. You're just kind of tilting your pelvis and then letting the rest of your back go along for the ride. And if this is a lot for your wrists, you can slide your blocks under your wrists, or you can be on your fists here. And then we'll come back through neutral and we'll set up to thread the needle. And so if you're having just a horrible time on hands and knees and don't want to be in this position, the seated variation of thread the needle is taking your arm across the body and holding the shoulder stretch here. Thread the needle, we do it from a tabletop, and it adds a little bit more of our gravity and weight to that hold. And so if you want to be seated and just holding your shoulder for this time, you can do that, and then we'll switch sides together here. And so from our hands and knees position, let your left arm come out wide to prepare, and then maybe even give yourself a little room, and then let that arm come under your body and send it all the way through so that you can set your shoulder right on the mat. And then your head will come down to the floor, or it's possible that having a block under your head will feel nice. It just kind of depends on your mobility here. You might even have a block under that shoulder. If for some reason you just like not getting your shoulder all the way to the floor. I haven't played with that a whole lot, but and then start to breathe in this place here. Keeping your hips up over your knees. And then maybe playing with walking that right arm out long. Or you might lift that right arm up overhead and flip your palm and bring it behind your back and add chest opening here. And then you might also decide to let your right leg come out to the side and bring your foot up toward that hand. So it's kind of like a gate pose where you've fallen over. Whatever variation you choose, just breathe. See if you can soften into the stretch. Now release that hand from above you and bring it back down to center if it had moved. And then bring your legs back together and then let your left arm free. And then go ahead and wiggle that out however feels nice in your body. And if you were holding it across your chest, just let it go and shake it out. And then we'll prepare to bring our right hand out and then across our body. And then set up for our variation of the stretch on this side. And just know that both sides of our body can feel very, very different. And so just honor whatever each side needs today. And so you might start just breathing in this first place here. And you might walk that left hand out above your head. Or maybe you can lift it up over your body, flip the palm, maybe send it behind your back. And find some opening in your front body here. And then that left leg might want to come out and the left foot head toward your hand, just for a different sensation. If your breathing is irregular, that means you went too far. You want to come back to a place where you can breathe evenly. And you can release that top arm to come back and help you bring that leg back in if it went out. And then release the right arm and come back through your tabletop position here and wiggle it out in a way that feels nice on your body. And now from here we'll sit into a child's pose. And so you can take your knees pretty wide and start to sit your hips back. And if that's really intense on your knees, you can start putting blocks under your body to keep your hips up a little bit and have some support. You might even have your other block out in front of you to put your arms on here. Whatever variation of child's pose you're in. I know my legs are wide here and your feet can even be a little wide apart too. So you can have space to allow yourself to move into this pose. And now to add some sensation with the arms, what you can do is bring your elbows to the mat and then let your hands come up behind your head. And then sit back in to now this tricep stretch that's happening on your upper arm. And then release your hands back to the mat so they can help press you back up here. And if you had any support under you for this child's pose, you might move it. And then here we get into a little bit of fun with our knees and our feet. So go ahead and stay kneeling, but walk your hands behind you and plant them on the floor in a way that will allow you to roll your shoulders open and back so you can really shine that chest up toward the ceiling. And then let your head be neutral here. And if it feels good to bring your knees back together, you can do that or not. And so if you want to deepen this sensation, you can kind of scoop your butt up and under and then lift those hips up. Again, just make sure you can have steady breathing here. And just squeeze that butt and just really drive those hips up to the sky if you're in this position. Otherwise, just work on your chest lift. And then exhale, let your hips come back down if they were lifted. And then you can walk yourself back up to kneeling. And we'll do one more thing here in this kneeling position, where we'll lift up a little bit so we can allow our toes to tuck under. Just in case you can't see it, I'm just tucking all of my toes under my feet. And this is a really loud pose in a lot of our bodies. But go ahead and just start with that. See how it feels. And then you might be able to bring your weight back up over your hips and really get into that bottom of the foot opening. We won't stay here for very long. It's very intense. And then exhale and walk yourself back through your tabletop and tap out the tops of your feet. And just find some wiggling in your body that feels nice. And now we'll transition into kind of the big part of this series, which is, I'm calling it my lizard series. And I'm going to keep a blanket under my knees for now, and I'm going to recruit my blocks. And I'll have my strap nearby for you just in case. And so we can start in tabletop again. I know I'm going to be using my blocks for this, so I'm just going to already start with them under my hands. And then I'm going to step my right hand in toward the center so I can let my right leg come long and then bend my knee and swing it around. So my foot is planted just to the outside of my right hand to get started. And so from this place we can work on drawing our hips energetically toward our center and really drawing that front heel in toward under our body, and this back leg is drawing in energy right under our body. And so from here we'll add just a little bit of movement, anticipating the right arm going on a slightly different journey here. And so if this feels nice, you might stay like this, or as you continue through the series, you might step your back knee back a little bit just to deepen the lunge. It just kind of depends on how much sensation you want in your lunge right now. And so we'll start with just a little movement here. And so we'll plant our hands, we'll lean forward, we'll inhale, we'll shine open to prepare. And then we'll exhale and we'll send our hips back and we'll straighten our front leg. That's what's happening behind my block here, is I'm straightening this leg. And then inhaling and coming forward and shining up, and then exhaling and drawing this leg straight. Just moving back and forth a couple of times here. And I'm beginning to widen my stance with this front leg. I'm giving myself just lots of room and lots of freedom so I don't run into myself. And now the next time we inhale, bring that right arm forward. And then on our exhale, come back and bring your back leg up to meet your hand. And then inhale forward, exhale, sit back into that straight leg. And now we'll do that again. We'll inhale up and swing around. We'll just combine those breaths together and then exhale, bring it forward. And then inhale, just reach. And that back leg doesn't have to come up at all if that's not comfortable for you. Just if you know lizard like I know lizard, you know what's coming. Now sit here with your leg straight, your hips drawing back, both of your legs drawing back. This front foot, you can flex the foot if you want, or you can let it go long. You might even move it back and forth a little. And so I'm going to keep my hips stacked over my knee in this shape. And so for me, that actually means walking my front foot farther away from me and a little wider. And then that helps me realign my hip back over my knee. And then once I've got that set up, inhale long to prepare. And then maybe exhale, sit those hips back and find a little bit of a fold as you bend your elbows. Inhale, we'll move back into our lunge shape. So we'll bring that right foot back down, planted on the floor, knee bent. And so shining our heart forward and starting to drop our left hip toward the mat might be enough of a stretch for us for now. And that might feel just great in your body. And you can keep walking that right foot away from you to give yourself even more room to come into this. And so you have some options from here. You can start to add a twist by lifting your right hand up to this knee. So for now, we're going to keep our foot flat on the floor. We'll keep our knee up and not open it yet. We'll get to that later. And then twist yourself toward your front leg and maybe bring your belly with you if you need to give yourself some room. And that might feel nice there. Your front arm might go a little wide to give you some more space as well. Or you might lift that right hand up overhead and send it back. And then your left knee might bend and that back foot might kick in and make a connection with your hand. And if not, your strap can loop around your foot. And you may be able to lasso it and hang on to it that way, and whatever feels good in your body there. So here now in this twist, same thing applies. We're trying to get that left hip to drop toward the mat. Just now it's more an intense quad stretch here. And then with our arm, our front arm, we don't want to dump into our shoulder. We still want to stay lifted. We want to keep our chest open. But you may be able to walk yourself down to your elbow and deepen that even more. The right answer is whatever doesn't hurt your body. Stretching sensations are okay. Pain, not okay. And then very carefully release that back leg if you have it, and let it come gently to the floor. And then bring yourself back up into your lunge. And so now here you have the option, if you want to wing your lizard, flex your foot so your toes come in and up, and then let your knee fall open. Having your foot flexed will keep your knee safe in this situation. And so here you can change up your lizard by sinking forward, maybe coming down to your elbows. And then you might tuck your back toes and lift that left leg and maybe scoot back and forth a little bit. Or you might just leave that knee down. And you might go for the twist and the hold on this side too. Just whatever your body is craving right now. Wherever you are, spend just a few breaths there. And then press your hands back into the floor, your blocks. Maybe sit your hips back so that front leg can go straight and get a little relief there. And then come back to your lunge. Let that right leg come free. Maybe shake it around behind you. And we come back through tabletop again. We prepare ourselves for that whole series on the other side. And so we start by moving our hands toward the center or right side of our mat. And then we let our left leg go long this time. And then bend that knee and swing our foot around and set up for our lunge on this side. And so we first start, stack that knee over that ankle, draw those hips together. Find that long spine, open shoulders. And just see how it feels here in this place. You might even walk that front foot a little farther forward to start to get into that stretch. And now we'll add a little bit of movement here. Inhaling and coming forward. And exhaling and straightening that leg, maybe flexing the foot, just whatever feels nice. And then inhaling forward and up. And then exhaling, straight leg. And then inhaling forward. And exhaling, straightening that leg. Now we'll work on adding the back knee to the party here, letting that left hand come forward and coming back. Inhaling, bending that back leg. Exhaling, resetting into that fold. And then we'll come back again, inhaling, up, back, exhaling, fold, inhaling up, twist, bend, and then fold, exhale, inhaling up, dink, and then exhaling here, and this time holding the fold. Really drawing both of your hips back. You can flex this foot, you can let it go straight. Again, whatever feels nice. And then we check our setup to see if our hip is still stacking over our kneeling leg, and mine is not. So I'm going to readjust my front foot so I can really lift myself up out of dumping into my hip there. And then we see how that feels on our leg. You can have a little micro bend there. Inhale long, find that connection, that length. And then exhale, bend those elbows, find a fold. Again, only going as deep as you don't feel any pain. Just a nice stretching sensation. Inhale back up. We'll bring that foot back in toward our lunge. And now we'll start with our lizard variation where we stay upright here so our knee can go a little wide and come away from us here. And then we might just lean forward into this stretch and just let that right hip release toward the mat. And that might be enough sensation for us today. Or maybe you want to work on twisting your torso a little bit. So leaving your right hand planted on your floor where your block might twist toward your front leg. Again, we're keeping it up and our whole foot is on the floor still for this variation. And then letting that hip drop. Maybe seeing if the hand will come up and over and back. Maybe seeing if that foot will bend, that knee will bend, sending our foot to us, maybe making a connection with our hand, maybe not. Or maybe we'll grab our strap and loop it around our foot so we can make that connection. And then just, again, really work on not just dumping here and just staying open and lifting up out of your shoulder, not dumping into your wrist. And letting that right hip really sink into the mat. You might even drop down to your elbow here. And then after a few breaths, wherever you are, you can slowly, carefully release that back leg. And then let your arms help you press yourself back up. And now here we'll try the variation where we come forward and down. And so you might take your foot a little wider, flex your foot, and then let the knee fall open. And so from here you might come forward, maybe down onto your elbows. Maybe you'll tuck your back toes and lift. Maybe rock back and forth. Or that knee can stay down. You might even go for the twist again if you really enjoyed that experience. Or wherever you are, just breathe. And come out of it a little bit if you're having too much sensation. And when you're ready, press your hands back, let that press your front leg straight. And then come back through your tabletop. Maybe let that leg go wild a little bit. We'll just do one more big stretch, I think. Maybe two. We'll see. And so now we'll come down to our backs. And so your kneeling blanket might be handy under your hips. And you might have a head blanket, depending on how this goes in your body. And then I also have my strap. So start by laying on your left side. And just coming to the mat, just stacking your hips on top of each other here. Letting your head maybe rest on your folded blanket. And if this feels like enough, you can just stay here. That's fine. If you want to keep exploring and moving in your body, start to pinwheel your legs where your bottom leg bends and goes back and your top leg bends and comes forward. And then let your arms come straight out in front of you, palm on palm, and then peel your top arm open across your body and come into a fairly deep twist here. And so you might need to make some adjustments here. Now this might be enough. You might keep kicking that back foot up toward your hands, and your hand might make a connection with the ankle and pull on that leg. This pose is called cat pulling its tail. So that's what is happening here. And then if you want to have even more fun, your top leg can come up and maybe find your hand or your strap, and then you're just in all kinds of sensation here. And so it could be that you like the top leg one, but not the cat pulling its tail one, and then you just lay with your arm open to a T. And so your strap in this case would make the connection between your hand and whatever foot you want to make that connection with. If you need a little support, you need to bridge the gap. And if your foot is just floating in the air and that feels weird on your body, you can slip your block under your foot, so you have a place to rest that foot, so you don't have to just hold it in the air. So if your hand is holding anything right now, first let your hands come free, and then bring your legs back together a little bit, and then roll yourself back to your side. Maybe just rest here for a moment. And then go ahead and come to your back. If you need a full body stretch to transition, this might be a nice time to do that. And then when you're ready, we'll repeat this on our left hip. And so we'll start here, just laying on our hips. And then just relaxing our head, and that might feel nice. Or we might pinwheel our legs so the bottom one bends and goes back and the top one comes forward. We let our hands rest in front of us, palm on palm. And then we peel ourselves open into our twist. And so this might be all the sensation you need, but you can play with adding sensation into the legs. And so you can grab very gracefully, I know, right? Your strap to your back foot, or just grab your back foot to pull the tail. And your top foot might creep up toward your hand a little bit. And maybe you can find a grip, maybe not. Really, I just like the twist. All the other stuff is decoration. so if your hands are hanging on to anything, let them go. And then bring your legs toward each other so you have some support to lift yourself to your back. And then you can just let your body go along here. And so we have some options. If you want to do any other poses, you can grab your block and do a supported bridge pose, walking your heels toward your butt and then pressing into your heels, squeezing your glutes, lifting those hips, and then sliding the block under your hips and just relaxing onto the block. That might feel nice on your body after the work we've been doing today. Or you might just be ready to move into relaxation as well, so you might just stay right on the floor. And if you're staying on the floor, you might still bring your feet to the floor, take your feet wide and knock your knees together. In bridge, we'll keep our knees straight up, but if you're just resting on the floor, you might knock those knees together for constructive rest. And then wherever you are, you might tuck your shoulders in just a little bit to let your arms come out wide. Now if you're on your block, bring those heels back in again, press, lift those hips, and let the block out from under your body and meet in that constructive rest with your knees knocking together. Maybe windshield wiping those knees to shake out your back. And then you can stay in this shape for a few more breaths, or if there's another pose or another variation of relaxation that feels even better on your body, you can move to that now. Just continuing to breathe and sending gratitude to your body for taking this time to just stretch and move your body in maybe new ways. And thank you all for sharing this particular mat time with me.